I'm Debbie Stothard, coordinator of ALTSEAN-Burma, the Alternative ASEAN Network on Burma. When the worst earthquake in 100 years hit Burma on the 28th of March, we were shocked to realize that the US assessment team on the ground there to try and work out what can be done to help people who were dying because of the quake were told that they had been given their notice. The aid suspension has had very serious repercussions. In the Thai-Burmese border and other places, refugees are dying because they've been denied life-giving, life-supporting, life-saving healthcare. So within a few days of the aid suspension, a refugee woman died because she couldn't get oxygen. She couldn't breathe because of the aid suspension. As a human rights and democracy organization, there were many things that we have already done before the aid suspension because we were expecting donor fatigue to strike 5 years into the failing coup and the winning revolution. Firstly, we've always kept our salaries low and allocated most of our budget towards activities on the ground, activities and to ensure that organizations and activists on the ground actually have resources to do the activities that we are working with them on. We also restructured the way we do sub-grants. Instead of sub-grants where we are the accounting police, supervising organizations and breathing down their necks to make sure that they comply with everything, we actually restructured it into mini consultancies focused on the deliverables and the outcomes. So activists and organizations on the ground had the power to decide how they want to use those resources at their discretion in a rapidly changing environment to deliver what needed to be delivered. That actually surprisingly gave us better outcomes, much more productivity, but also, as we hoped for, strengthened the trust and the relationship between and the solidarity between various organizations. So this is what we can do. I'm not challenging the fact that the USAID and international agencies have been criticized for waste, for colonialistic attitude in which inexperienced people with Western degrees were given more value than the lived experiences on activists on the ground who take the real risk in getting the work done. Instead of saying, yes, this is what we should be doing, this is to be expected, we should be actually questioning, how can we use reduced aid more effectively without chaining ourselves to colonialistic practices, without behaving as though we are the world police of aid for groups on the ground? Because groups on the ground do not need as much as huge agencies require for their administration. Instead of being bean counters and accounting police, we should be real partners and listen to what people need on the ground. I think that is extremely important. But it's also important to understand another aspect which nobody has really figured out yet or discussed widely. We are not just talking about the suffering of marginalized communities as a consequence of this aid suspension. What we need to understand is that this aid suspension and reduced commitments globally to democracy and community resilience building is actually going to have devastating security impacts. We are going to have a great amount of insecurity in this region and globally because much of the aid is actually going to services that governments won't or cannot provide. And when those services that have served to fill important gaps, especially social and human security gaps, are gone, our world is going to start feeling the serious impacts of these aid suspensions in the year ahead. Governments are going to be in trouble, and world governments are going to start feeling the nasty, nasty consequences of their lack of commitment to marginalized communities globally.